Hey everybody, it's Mike with Inflatable Boarder, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Skylla CX Cross Touring Inflatable Paddleboard by Sea Gods. The Skylla was the first board that Canadian brand Sea Gods released with their new CX cross-woven construction. As its name implies, the Skylla CX Cross Touring is designed to be a crossover board between all-around and touring. And like all Sea Gods paddleboards, the Skylla features some amazing artwork to match its excellent performance. The cross-woven or CX construction used in the Skylla and all of Sea Gods' new CX lineup of paddleboards is extremely lightweight without sacrificing rigidity and performance. The interior is made with a woven drop stitch core that uses not only a woven fabric but a cross-woven drop stitch pattern as well to further reduce weight and increase rigidity. The outer layer is made with a single fusion layer of 1.7mm thick PVC. And this thicker reinforced PVC provides great performance and durability while keeping the weight very low. The top and bottom of the board are joined together with a heat-pressed inner rail band that uses a heat-activated glue in a mold to provide straight, accurate lines and a highly durable construction. That inner rail band is covered with an outer rail band, and two seam reinforcement strips are applied to the edges of that outer rail band to increase durability and resistance to wear. Once the construction is complete and all of the features are added to the board, the Skylla CX weighs in at an extremely light 19.5 pounds and has a maximum recommended internal pressure of 20 psi. In our static bend test, we loaded up the Skylla with 170 pounds of weight in the standing area and measured how much it bent. With that 170 pounds, the Skylla CX bent just under 1.2 inches, which is extremely good in general, especially for such a lightweight board. On the water, the Skylla is very stiff, and I didn't feel any bending or flexing while standing or paddling on the board. Likewise, I didn't notice any bend or flex while I was paddling hard for our sprinting speed test. Jumping on the board does produce a moderate amount of flex, and it does have a slightly tight feeling rebound as it settles back down once you stop. Overall, I'm very impressed with the build quality and the weight of this board. It feels almost impossibly rigid considering how light it is. As a crossover board, the Skylla CX is designed to have a little bit more size for stability and carrying capacity, but a shape that's more conducive for speed and efficiency. It's 11 feet long, 33 inches wide, and 6 inches thick. It has a 350-pound maximum recommended capacity, and it does weigh only 19.5 pounds. You can definitely see the crossover mindset in the shape of the Skylla. It is 33 inches wide, but it has a very tapered shape that pulls in at the nose, and its wide point is just in front of the standing area. This does provide more stability as you load up the front of the board with cargo, or if you're leaning over to be paddling a little bit faster, and the standing area of the board does feel a little bit more like a 32-inch board versus a 33-inch board. However, the rear half of the board is kept very wide, and that wide tail allows more width to be carried back and does provide more stability. As you're paddling on the Skylla, you find that it does feel very stable. As a very lightweight board, it does suffer just a little bit from having what I call the lightweight board twitch, where it does feel just slightly over buoyant. However, it's very easy to become accustomed to, and after just a few minutes on the Skylla, you really don't notice it at all. That wider tail does provide more consistent stability as you move around on the board, and it does feel very good on the water. As you move back on the Skylla, you can feel slight changes in stability, however, it's not very drastic. With the Skylla's very tapered and pointed nose, it gives the impression that it's going to be a very fast and efficient paddleboard, and while I did find it to be very efficient on the water, its speed was just about in line with most other all-around paddleboards of the same width. During our speed testing, I was able to maintain an average sprinting speed of about 5.1 miles per hour, and the fastest speed I was able to hit was just 5.5 miles per hour. There was a slight amount of flex when sprinting, but I really had to look for it. However, one thing that I do feel hampered the speed of the board more than its flex was its tendency to kind of bounce off course. I'm not 100% sure of why the Skylla tended to bounce a little bit during sprinting. However, I do have a feeling it has to do with the lightweight nature of the board and its tapered shape being so strong that it doesn't necessarily track as well as a longer touring board that has a more gentle taper. Now, while its top speed and sprinting performance was not quite up to snuff for a touring board, it did do very well at cruising speeds and for efficiency. While paddling at a more casual pace of about 25 strokes per minute, the Skylla did move very easily along at about 3.4 miles per hour. And while paddling at this casual cruising pace, I found the Skylla to move about 21 feet on average with each paddle stroke before it began to slow down, and that gives it a gliding efficiency of 1.9 board lengths per stroke. Now, that is on par with high-quality touring paddleboards, so we are seeing that same efficiency as a touring SUP, we're just not seeing quite the same top speeds. As a crossover paddleboard, you would expect the Skylla CX to have a very good balance between maneuverability and tracking, and it does. In our maneuverability stress test, we found that the Skylla needed just under 6 paddle strokes on average to make a full 360-degree turn using only forward sweep strokes. If we back that up and use reverse sweep strokes, we find that the Skylla CX can make the same circle in just 3.5 strokes. This type of maneuverability is very consistent with other all-around paddleboards and is definitely more agile than other touring paddleboards. In our tracking stress test, we paddle towards a distant target and then take 10 paddle strokes on a single side. We then measure the difference in our new course and our original course at the end of that 10th paddle stroke. The Skylla CX did very well in our tracking test, deviating an average of just 13 degrees after that 10th stroke. This is very good for an all-around paddleboard, but it's not quite up to the level of what we would see in a true touring style paddleboard, where we'd expect to see well below 10 degrees of deviation and even below 5 degrees. The Skylla has a single universal standard or US fin box, and it comes with a touring style flex fin. Now, this fin does have some flexibility in it, which makes it safer to use in shallower water where you may accidentally impact something. However, that flex fin can also be bent out of shape, and so you do want to make sure that you aren't setting the board down on the ground on its fin and that the fin is straight when you put it in the board. If the fin is bent a little bit, letting it sit in the sun for a few minutes and warming up and then flexing it back with your hands is an easy way to straighten it back out. Overall, the Skylla Cross Touring does an excellent job of blending its maneuverability and tracking performance. I do feel that it feels a little bit more like a well-tracking all-around paddleboard compared to a maneuverable touring board, but between its speed performance, its tracking, and its maneuverability, the Skylla CX can do just about anything on the water. In addition to its highly versatile performance on the water, the Skylla CX Cross Touring is designed with a feature set that allows you to bring along just about anything you'd want for all sorts of SUP adventures. There's a large front cargo area that's strung between 8 D-rings, and a medium-sized cargo area on the tail of the board strung between 4 D-rings. There are 4 total threaded accessory mounts, 2 in the front and 2 in the rear. There are passenger handles on the front cargo area, and there are D-rings in the middle of the board to accept a kayak seat. The deck pad covers the rear 2/3 of the board and has a super grippy diamond groove traction pattern that's great on bare feet or shoes. There are 3 carrying handles to make it easy to move either by yourself or with a partner when it's fully loaded. And there's the single US fin box on the hull. With a 350-pound weight capacity and a 33-inch width, this Skylla is easily capable of paddling with a passenger or pet. It's also great for loading up for overnight trips or going out on a small fishing excursion. The Skylla CX is sold as a complete paddleboard kit, and the board comes with a 9-inch touring fin, a coiled leash, repair kit, a double-action hand pump, a 3-piece paddle, and a very nice heavy-duty wheeled backpack to store and transport everything easily in one convenient package. The Sea Gods 3-piece carbon fiber paddle uses a carbon fiber shaft, carbon fiber handle section, and it has a molded carbon fiber T-grip. There are length markings on the front of the handle section, as well as an indexing groove on the back. And this allows you to easily make adjustments to the length of the paddle and keep the handle aligned with the blade. The blade is made with a fiber reinforced nylon material, and it has a medium-large teardrop shape. And one thing that's really nice about this paddle blade is it does have a double dihedral shape on the power face of the blade, and this helps direct water off the paddle to reduce fluttering and wandering while you're paddling. Overall, the Sea Gods paddle feels good in the water. It has a moderate amount of flex to it, which makes it comfortable to use for long periods of time, but it is a little bit heavy, especially in the blade. And I'd love to see Sea Gods come out with a premium carbon fiber paddle with a carbon fiber blade that would match really well with the Skylla and all of their other paddleboards. And like all of other Sea Gods paddleboards, the Skylla CX has some wonderful artwork. While the deck of the board is slightly subdued compared to some of the others like the Diatom CX, the Skylla features a beautiful hippocampus, a mythological creature that's part horse, part fish, and part bird on the hull of the board. This artwork was created by muralist duo Sandy and Steve Pell, together known as Pellvetica, and we've put a link to their website and other artwork in the video description below. Overall, the Sea Gods Skylla CX Cross Touring is exactly what the name says it is. It's a fantastic paddleboard for those who want an all-around board that can move a little bit faster and more efficiently, or those who want a more stable touring style board. It does a fantastic job of bridging the gap between the two categories, and if you can only have one SUP to do everything, this Skylla would make a fantastic choice. If you are looking for something that's a little bit more dedicated to SUP touring, then I would recommend taking a look at the Sea Gods Cartamarina CX. Or if you want something more stable and agile, then take a look at the mind-bending artwork on the Diatom CX. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I've answered all of your questions about the Sea Gods Skylla CX Cross Touring paddleboard. But if I've missed something or you have other questions, please let us know in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our future video content. If you are interested in purchasing the Skylla CX, we'd appreciate it if you'd use the link in our video description. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but it does help support our YouTube channel and bring you more SUP content. Thanks for watching, don't forget your PFD, and happy paddling!